of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Report of building 2002-9 electrical underground material.
This is the bid that was tabled from the last meeting because we wanted to consult with our attorney. Our attorney said that the bid is fine, everything is in order legally. However, our electrical consultant provided us with his report. I believe you all have a copy of it. I think Bob Clark had some concerns regarding Kurt Wilson's report. And Bob would like to table this until he can talk to Kurt again. Perhaps this will not have to go another 2 weeks. If we can get Curtis and Bob together, then we could call a special board meeting and award this, because this keeps going on, and we really need these materials.
Agreed. Definitely like to have awarded it tonight, but there are some concerns. Well, I think Bob wants to do something different than what's in here, so we really need to probably table it. All right, we do, Bob?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea, Bobby, when you can get to Kurt?
Well, hopefully tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I called him a couple times today, but he must have been out. There's just a few things in there that they got to be straightened out before we can get it.
I think we need a motion to table it.
Yes,
I'll make a motion.
second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the use of sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Open the meeting for comments from the public at this time. Anybody who wishes to address the board at this time may do so. If not, you will have a chance at the end of the meeting.
Mayor Rivers?
Yes.
Do you want this to be discussed regarding the electricity
They can
now,
now.
or do you want it under you on the agenda?
Is it on the, under me on the agenda?
Well, Mr. Perkins' visit is.
Okay. You can do it then, doesn't matter. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting, November 4th. You all have copies. Is there any additions or deletions?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that. Motion made and second. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Bills. You all have copies of the bills. Treasurer, is there any additions or deletions?
We have one addition, it's to Wilson & Wilson in the amount of $13,952.31.
Consulting fee?
Yes.
Make a motion to
I
pay
have
the
one,
bills.
okay.
No.
It's not a big thing, Arsen, but there are two invoices referenced here for Vermont Life magazine on the same date. Do we get 2 copies of that magazine in the library? Vermont Life?
No, I think one of those is, just leave it off.
What
We
do
made
we
a
get?
couple of lists. They get a magazine called Vermont, and then there's another one called Vermont Life.
Right, and there is a Vermont one on here also, but Vermont Life is here twice.
Right.
So you do either one? Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the ones you have crossed out are saying we're not paying, is that it?
Correct.
Okay.
Make a motion to pay the bills as amended.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence.
The first piece of correspondence you have is from the Champlain Fire District addressed to the Village Clerk. Please be informed that our 2003 budget allows for an allocation of $22,500 to the Rouses Point Village to provide fire and EMT ambulance protection to that portion of the town of Champlain adjacent to the village of Rouses Point, previously covered by the Rouses Point Fire Department for the period 1 January 2003 through 30 June 2003. We are at present and will continue to pursue ways to address the coverage in the above-mentioned area of the town. We appreciate the excellent coverage the Rouses Point Fire Department thus far has provided. We want to include the Rouses Point Fire Department in our discussions, particularly in response to EMT coverage, and this will be more and more a concern as both of our departments are or will be facing a lack of available volunteer personnel. We would appreciate a response as to when members of the department would be available to begin discussion. Sincerely, John Southwick, Secretary.
Paul, has anybody contacted you at all?
We have a copy down there, that's it.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Trustee Penfield, Chair of the Fire Committee, and I met with the Champlain Fire District Committee over the summer and requested an increase in the amount of money that was to be given to Rouses Point for service, because it had been at the same level for 5 years. And we never heard back again from the fire district until we got this letter, and I wish that there had been some discussions at that time on it. I'm certainly not going to suggest that we hold the people outside of the doors hostage and not providing services, because we have to do that. It's not ethically right not to give them the service. However, I do think that we should have a sit down with the people and discuss our concerns, and the fact especially that we're going to be providing them with a very state-of-the-art piece of equipment pretty soon, and that should help them a lot.
So can we write them a letter or
Requesting some type of
some kind of meeting or something?
Some type of a meeting, yes.
To discuss this, or?
With maybe Trustee Penfield, myself, and a couple of members of the department.
Why don't we have a joint meeting of both boards?
That could be too.
It's just a suggestion.
No, either one, either way. I mean, as long as we, I think John and Kelly know how we feel and involved. And Bruce. I mean, either way.
Yeah, I think it might be better if we started with a small group rather than the entire board. So I think we should send them a letter and arrange to meet with them as soon as we can to discuss both items, both the contract itself and then the second paragraph talking about coverage in your area of town. So it's a serious issue. Well, would you be available to meet sometime in the near future, hopefully?
I should be.
Okay.
We need a motion to that effect then.
Do you want me to make these arrangements, or are you going to?
I'd be happy to do it if you'd like.
I mean, do you want me to draft a letter?
That would be fine. Yes.
Yeah, do you want to put that into motion, that you're going to draft a letter, that I'm going to set up a meeting with the two fire commissioners, the fire chief, and the fire district? Is that what you want to do then?
Yes.
Okay.
You made that upon motion, Kelly?
Yes, I did.
Second.
The motion made, seconded. Any other discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
The second bit of correspondence you have is a very nice thank you note. It is from the Northern Tier Chamber of Commerce, saying they appreciate all the help you gave them to make the British invasion dinner the success that it was. From Frank Shambo, President, there also was a very nice check enclosed with this to the village for all the help you gave them.
Very nice.
The next correspondence you have is from Canadian Pacific Railway, and it's regarding their holiday train. It's to inform you that the Canadian Pacific Railway will be running its 2002 holiday train in the Northeast U.S. in this year, and will include the Northeastern Pennsylvania and Central New York route over the former Delaware and Hudson track through your community. The train is an annual event that attempts to fight hunger across North America, and an event stop is planned in your community. According to this, it's going to be in Rouses Point Thursday, December 5th at approximately 12:30 a.m.
Well, it was that last year too, but I believe the fire department has taken on the task of this, getting food for the food bank. I think the community might want to get up at 12:30. Those that didn't see it last year really missed something beautiful. It is something to see. And if they're willing to stop, I think we're willing to support it. And I want to commend the fire department for taking on that task. I thought that was commendable. 'Cause they certainly don't get anything out of it. But if you want to donate canned goods, see the fire department. Fill the chief's office, I'd love to see it.
Well, they might do it.
You have one other piece of correspondence, and it is from Mrs. Dawn O'Boyle, our village historian. It's to the Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees. It is with great sadness that I find I must resign as historian for the village of Rouses Point for health reasons. I wish my resignation to take effect December 31st, 2002. It has been an honor to have served the community that I was born in and love so dearly. It has been a privilege to have worked with the village officials and staff over the years that have been so friendly and helpful to me in so many ways. I can't thank you enough. In the future, I will gladly help my successor in any way I can. Most sincerely, Dawn S. O'Boyle.
Like that a motion.
Make a motion with deep regret.
Second.
Motion made and second, any discussion? All those in favor, vote by use of sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
That's all the correspondence.
Oh, my favorite. Reports of mayor and trustees. It's a resolution to write off debts. Okay. This is whereas the village of Rouses Point is the taxing authority under village law, and whereas the village tax bills were relieved on June 1st, 2001, and whereas the revenue mobile home park tax map such and such and such generated a tax bill of $468.74, including rear sewers and water rent of $189.23 and $106.68 respectively, and where the village of Rouses Point obtained title to revenue mobile home park on July 2nd, 2002. Therefore, be resolved, the board of trustees of the village of Rouses Point authorizes the treasurer to write off $173.43 of taxes to the general fund, $189 relieve sewer rents, and $100 to the sewer fund, and $106 leave rents to the water fund. Therefore, this resolution is put to a roll call vote. Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson. Aye. And the mayor votes aye. Authorize A&E for waterfront revitalization project. We received a proposal from the Northern Technical Services LLC to compile soil boring on waterfront. Oh, here we go. That's the stuff. $6,703. I need a motion to do that at the meeting.
You got it.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
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 And I request an executive session for contract negotiations, and that's in form of a motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, roll call vote. Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow. Aye. Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson. Aye. And the last thing on my report, I believe, unless there is a supplement, and there isn't, is discussion with New York State Electric and Gas. On Friday, I had a meeting with names. Bob Perkins, the New York State Electric and Gas manager in this area, over what you people came to us about. And one of the questions I asked him, would he be interested in selling that franchise? And he said, absolutely not. Gas Electric is not interested in selling anything. Their problem is that with deregulation, they had to sell all their generation. They no longer generate. They're strictly the distributor. So now that's their business. That's what he told me point blank. Now, as far as this other thing about getting power, what he said, and I found out today from the Municipal Electric Association to be true, we are not an entity that they can buy power from, or anybody can. By law, as a municipal electric, we cannot sell outside our franchise. And I will have letters for you folks from Bob Perkins and the Municipal Electric Association sometime this week. I've done the best we can do. I mean, I've checked everything that we can check. From here, I don't know where to go. I really feel sorry for you folks. I know what you were promised years back, but unfortunately, time changes a lot of things. And what I told the chairman of the Public Service Commission 2 years ago, deregulation is not good for the consumer. When this is all said and done, the consumer's going to pay through the nose. And she was very upset with me in Albany, but I did tell her. And it's coming to pass. I mean, people that have bought up the generation play games. When the demand is high, they hold back their power until they can get the highest rates. The distributing people want their cut of the pie, so they play their games. And it's not a pretty scene. And if you people want to think about deregulation, go back when they deregulated freight. It certainly didn't do this area any good. When they deregulated the telephone, I defy any one of you to understand your phone bill today, or what it costs. When they deregulated cable industry, that was another fiasco. When they deregulated the airline industry, we still pay the highest rates in the nation. Not good for the consumer. And where the municipal electrics are going to go, at this point, I can't tell you. But I had a phone conversation today with Bob Mullane, the executive director of the municipal electric. He said, definitely not, you cannot. You are restricted by law from even getting into this. And that goes for the 42 municipal electric associations in the state of New York. That's what I have to report, but I will give you letters. Bob Perkins and Bob Mullane promised me letters, and I will see Joe get copies of them. Okay?
Did he mention who else we could might approach about maybe, or setting up some kind of association to do this?
Nope, I asked him that, and he said, unfortunately, I think his answer was that you're on the wrong end of the system.
So if we're,
You're like on the southern or the western end, I think they can
Yeah.
buy from other people. See, the city of Plattsburgh is the same boat. They can't do it. They cannot sell power either. Lake Placid, Tupper Lake.
I mean, there's nothing saying that, I mean, you seem to have formed a group. And I think that's, I mean, reading into this thing, and I think that's what it's telling you is to form a group to buy that power yourself, you know, because you have, 15, 20 homes there or more, whatever.
16.
And so if you all get together, maybe you can get a better rate. Talk to NICEAG or whoever is supplying the power now. You know, if you can form your own group, I think that's what they're looking at. And stating that, you know, you can form groups and everything else. Where you kind of have your own special little group there because you're in the village, but you can't use our power. You know, you're outside of our electrical district. And, you know, unfortunately, there's nothing that, by law, that we can do unless NICEAG does sell it to a franchise.
There is a few other things that you could do, though, I was thinking about. Maybe you should consider putting more insulation in your house and cleaning your windows, changing your windows up, you know, keep.
well, heating isn't it? It's general electric cost for your appliances.
I think you're going to get a 13% reduction. I think Bob Perkins said that January 1, they get the PSD has ordered them to give a 13% reduction.
Why is that?
Pardon?
Why do they do that?
Well, they asked the Public Service Commission to have a 7-year freeze on their electrical rates. In other words, what they are now, they'd be for the next 7 years. And the PSC would not allow it, and told them to turn around, and they had to give a 13% reduction. He said, the bad thing about that is, he said, yeah, this year or next year, the year after, it may hold true, but then it's gonna go right up.
It was 2006 that price freeze.
So they didn't get the freeze, they just told them they had to reduce their electric rates by 13%.
You know as well as I do, they're gonna get it back.
And let's face it, they're out to make money.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I really am. I wouldn't mind having them 16 houses in the village power system. But at this point, there's not a damn thing we can do about it.
Okay.
Thank you for looking into it.
You're welcome, I'm sorry, like I said. Okay, that's it for me, trustee Menard.
First item on the agenda is to request an executive session concerning the police matter.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, roll call vote, trustee Menard,
Aye.
trustee Huckrow, trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
The mayor votes aye.
And my second item on the agenda is an announcement from the it's an environmental disclosure information, which everyone will be receiving in their electric bills, or are we gonna separate? No, separate. Huh? It'll be hand carried. Okay, this is just stating where our fuel sources come from and where the air emissions come from. It's mandated by the Public Service Commission, and everyone will, any electric area will be receiving one of these. And my last item is discussion of the snow plowing, which I believe we put on the back burner last meeting, from Lincoln Boulevard. It is my understanding that the streetlights have been turned back on, and we will be following that road at this point in time, and I think they are looking into trying to turn that street over to the village if at all possible.
At some point. All right, thank you, trustee Menard. Trustee Huckrow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item is to request an executive session to discuss public works employees.
Second?
Motion made and seconded, roll call vote, trustee Menard,
Aye.
trustee Huckrow,
Aye.
trustee Penfield,
Aye.
trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
The mayor votes aye.
Second item is to request an executive session to discuss retirement personnel.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, roll call vote, trustee Menard,
Aye.
trustee Huckrow,
Aye.
trustee Penfield,
Aye.
trustee Jefferson,
Aye.
and the mayor votes aye.
May as well go to the next one, request an executive session to discuss electric personnel.
Second?
Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, trustee Menard,
Aye.
trustee Huckrow,
Aye.
trustee Penfield,
Aye.
trustee Jefferson,
Aye.
and the mayor votes aye.
Good, well, that's out of the way. Discussion administrator search. As you know, we finished our first round of interviews and did not find anyone that really met the qualifications we want, that we could afford. And so it has been re-advertised, and Bev has probably half a dozen applications back in. And at the last meeting, trustee Penfield asked if she could talk with a local headhunter about getting his services to help us in the search. And she did, so I'll probably do a bit.
There is some interest apparently in this person helping us out. Basically, I think what they are looking for is an agreement in theory that we would like to spend the funds to actually have a headhunter help us out. Once I think there's sufficient interest by this board, it will be put in writing, it'll be very clear what the search process will be, the methodology, the time frame, and the billing. My understanding is that this individual feels that the process could be completed in somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. That's from start to finish, from the time that it's first advertised until we actually have applicants that are interviewed and hired. I would think a rough figure at this point would be somewhere probably just under $4,000 is the quote that I've received. Now, again, it depended on a number of things and depended upon what the written process would be. So I don't really know whether there's interest from among the board that that's something that we want to do. I don't know whether we want to see whether or not the second round of ads will prove fruitful or not. What are your feelings?
Well, have you seen the applications? You come in?
Yes, I have.
I have, and there are certainly some applications in that bundle that are worth looking at, and the latest round of advertisements only happened this weekend, going to Free Press, so we should be getting some resumes from people on that. I'd like to go ahead with this, gentlemen, if we don't get anything out of this latest round. I think we're going to have to at that point. But I'd like to kind of put it on hold until after what, the 25th, isn't that?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
deadline's
applications
this
are all due. And, pardon me? This month. And look at some people and talk with however many people we want to talk with and see if we can come up with somebody that wants to come here and we can afford and we
So
can
you
move
want
that
that on
around.
the agenda for December 2nd?
Yes. Okay?
I don't think.
I don't know what else to do at this point. I don't want to spend $4,000 if we don't have to spend, you know. If we have to fight, we'll do it. So, no action on that. Eric, update on water projects?
Yes, with the water project, the contractor Landmark is going to be back in tomorrow, continuing the welding on the steel water tank. The cone section is completed. The first vertical section of panels that were completed last time, and this time, the round in, they hope to complete the next two sections. At that point, they'll be shut down for winter and proceed in the spring to raise the tank and paint it and put the top on it. I'm not sure if they'll get the steel work done that they want to get done this fall with the inclement weather. They're really good welders, but they don't seem to handle the cold weather real well. So if we're not welding away, I'd like to see it in the next week. I'm going to be advising them that they ought to look at springtime. So that's where we are with the water.
What do you expect? Texas, it's cold up here.
They're tough Texas boys. They just don't know how to dress.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John?
Yes.
Sorry, I had one thing I wanted to add to the report regarding the water system. On the existing water storage tank, we had a report that the mayor is familiar with that we had some leaks. And Eric checked it out, and we do indeed have some leaks in the existing water storage tank. It's up high, up on top of the water tank. And right now, Tisdale Associates is contacting contractors to try to put together an emergency repair team. And what this has done is opened a window of opportunity, because it is entirely likely that these stress cracks were caused during the earthquake. And so what we could do is get some funding to pay for the tank repair. But there's a question of whether or not there's any FEMA money left in that fund associated with that catastrophe. So the first step would be to talk to Jim King. And any of you have a relationship with Jim King that you could contact him, tell him the situation, that we may have damage to our water tank that has finally shown itself, and it could be a result of the earthquake, and it could be get some emergency funds to pay for it.
Do that already.
Thanks, Tom.
Yes.
What's the time frame on the repair, though? I mean, how serious
Well,
is it?
we can operate with the cracks where they are, because they're in the upper part of the tank. That hamstrings us a little bit. We just can't fill the tank as full as we usually will have it. But it won't stop us from meeting our demand for our heat.
Now, is that something that's going to get worse over the winter?
I wouldn't expect it to, but we're right on it, and so we're gonna get it fixed during the winter. So it shouldn't be there until next spring.
And should we decide to refurbish the tank once the new tank is completed, will any of this help out with that? Or is it something that will just patch for now and it'll have to be completely redone when we refurbish the tank?
We won't know until we've done an assessment as to, we know the cracks are there, but until we get in there and take a better look at it, we won't be able to say which route to go, whether we should patch and refurbish later, or if we can do something now that will just fit in as part of the overall refurbishment. Excellent question, have to get back to that.
Okay.
How do you do it? Do you get in there, or do you put a camera in?
We would put a person in there. We could, depending on the location, you could use a camera, but person really would be good.
Less than that.
Thank you. Next item is a discussion to rescind the resolution dated 12/17/2001. And basically that was the resolution that in which the village policy was when an employee is out on disability or workers' comp, the village will continue to offer that person medical insurance as outlined in the contract with the village personnel policy for a period of 3 months. And our attorney has advised us that we should really rescind that.
So you make that a motion?
It is.
Second.
Motion made and second. Do I need a roll call on that, Beth?
No.
All those, any other discussion? All those in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
Next item is just a very brief report on the Adirondack Tourism Council meeting that the mayor and I went to on Thursday. Very honestly, it wasn't that impressive meeting, except that we got a list of people that we should be able to talk with, and Paul Crudy would be interested in this, I think, for any projects that we might be doing, and some of the inside people, not Representative McHugh or whatever, but the people that make him go round and round. And so that was one thing that we did get out of it, but other than that, I wasn't that impressed with the meeting. And the seventh thing is to announce that on December 6th at 6:45 p.m., the Parade of Toys, sponsored by the Village of Rouses Point, is scheduled to leave Rouse Park. Did I say 6:45? Yes. And we will march to the Bank Huckrow Memorial Gazebo, where carols will be sung and the tree will be lit, and Santa will give out candy canes, and everybody will be treated to hot chocolate and cookies and whatever. And hopefully the community singers are going to lead the hundreds and hundreds of people in Christmas carols. And if you are coming, please make sure you bring your very favorite stuffed animal. And we would like to see people from all over the world come. We had a nice crowd last year. It was a very, very nice event. And you already can see that the village employees are decorating the village for the holiday time, and we've got a lot more to do yet. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Huckrow. Trustee Penfield.
The first item I have this evening is an update on something that we talked about, I guess, our first meeting in October regarding the property at 134 Lake Street. Mr. Zachary did in fact apply for a building permit, which was issued on November 1st. And so I believe that they have given the plans to the code enforcement officer in terms of what they plan to build. So it looks like things are progressing very well on that particular property. The second item that I have is to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Michael Tatro, who is serving as a part-time code enforcement officer for the village. He will act in this capacity until April 1st, 2003, at which time extension may be discussed, or termination if our code enforcement officer is trained at that point in time. So I'll put that in the form of a motion that we have the mayor sign this agreement with Mr. Tatro.
I'll second that.
Motion made, seconded. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
And the only other thing that I had this evening is an update on, I went to a library board meeting last week, and I just wanted to remind families in the village that there is a story hour which takes place every Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. at the library. It seems to be, at least most weeks, going along fairly well. The young lady, Jessica Bayshard, who's running it, has some very good projects for the children, so I would encourage people to attend if they're able to. I think it would be a very worthwhile activity. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, trustee Penfield. Trustee Jefferson.
The only thing I have to do tonight is give a brief update on the ongoing sewer projects. I'd like to pass it on to the distinguished colleague in the back, Eric, or
With the sewer project, the inclement weather today made it so we didn't get any work accomplished. But during this week, we plan on getting Pine Street water line. Seems odd talking about water lines in the sewer project, but they're tied in together. We plan on getting the Pine Street water line tapped in, putting a new water main in through Pine Street. We'll be tapping in at Maple Street and tapping in at Lake Street, running that water main up. The gravity sewer line south of Pine Street on Maple Street has been completed. The house laterals are going to be continued to work on this week. Hopefully next week we'll get into the actual force main work going along. DOT permit has been processed and sent to us. And unless there's some questions, that's about where we are with it.
Thank you.
I have a question. Sorry. So you're going to be digging for the laterals on the south end of Maple Street,
That's correct.
okay? And people should be advised that it's okay if you dig through the snow, no problem?
That's correct.
Okay.
We won't be stopping any of their excavations until we start getting frost in the ground.
Okay.
With the equipment now, it's snow and anything doesn't bother them until we actually start fighting the frost.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else,
Sorry,
Brian?
Brian.
That's it. No. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Jefferson. Dad?
No, I have no report.
Armstrong?
The only thing I want to report is since our last meeting, we turned the unpaid taxes over to the county for collection.
Thank you. Chief?
Nothing at this time, sir.
Bobby? Open them, Chief. Open the meeting to the public at this time. Anybody who wishes to address the board, may do so at this time. There being nobody, we are ready for recess.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded at 7:37. We're in recess for 5 minutes.